I just wanted to tell everyone that we're talking about this topic, religion and spirituality today. And you know Caruso already. Is this awesome, the most amazing hypnotherapist I know, who's got a library in his head.
Wait a minute, because last time you introduced me, now I introduce you. Because
Okay.
Ashwita Goel, if you don't know her, I mean, is a Reiki master. I have lots of things to say. Reiki master, healer, hypnotist. She studied even with me to become hypnotist, and not with me as teacher, with me in class, so that where we met. And she's a dancer, she's a meditation instructor, she is artist, she does lots of paints, very beautiful arts, and she's very well read. She has the ability to transform very complex idea in easy and chewable concept that we can grasp on it. So I'm really proud to present you, but I know that I've forgotten something because you have lots of things in your pocket to give us. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's some of the nicest things anyone has said about me. So okay. So as we're starting, Caruso was just telling me as a set of amazing questions to structure the flow of the discussion, and I loved it. But I was wondering, can we start with defining religion, culture, and spirituality as I see it? Or maybe we can go me and you, and so that it's not a long monologue.
Yeah.
Shall I start? Do you want to start?
I did research just to understand what the dictionary says about religion, spirituality, and culture. And if you want, I can give you my perspective, because, we tend to believe we speak in English, but religion, spirituality, and culture are Latin words. They come from Latin. So that's why I did the research in Italian, which is closer to Latin, and then I translated in English. So if you want, I can tell you what I discover the dictionary says, and we can talk about it if you are.
Yeah.
Okay, so religion, it comes from Latin, and it's about bond. Religione, rilegare. Legare, it's bond, tied together. Yeah. And it's about those values, about also the obliged, something that you do for the sacred. So the translation will be this: complex of beliefs, feelings, and ritual. So something that you do that binds an individual or human groups with what it holds sacred, not secret, but sacred. Yeah. Okay. And particularly with divinity. So to me, religion also has a component. Of course, he's not here described, but there's a political component and a cultural component. So we're going to discuss that. Yeah. I go over and I tell you something about culture, because still culture is Latin and is the set of intellectual connection that a person has acquired through study and experiences, reworking them, moreover, with a personal and profound rethinking, so as to convert the notion from erudition into a consistent element of his moral personality. This is a literal translation from Italian, okay? So I don't use normally those words. And it's about also personal morality, spirituality, and aesthetic taste. And in short, it's awareness of itself and about the world. So about the relationship. Here, there's a word, awareness. I was kind of surprised when I read this word into the word culture. You're talking about awareness, and it's kind of shocking in the first time, but it could be, because I mean, we have been bombarded by knowledge, by notion of who we are. And then you start to have an awareness of yourself through those experiences from your family, from your cities, from your countries. So it could be in a certain way. And spirituality, so I finish, you can go on. Spirituality is the set of elements that characterize ways of living and experiences spiritual realities. So now we're talking about the spiritual realities that lots of people says, if it's spiritual, is not real. Yeah. In the definition itself, we say spiritual reality, both with regard to form of religion, life, and to philosophical, literary, and artistic movement. So arts, philosophy, and religion are bound together in the concept of spirituality. I tend to not agree on that, but we are
I think I
discussing on
will
that.
be able to bind it together, but yeah, that is pretty amazing.
Yeah. So let's talk about religion. What do you think after what I read?
Well, for me, religion is basically a set of belief systems. By and large, I think religion, no matter what religion you see across the world, is just a set of belief systems. Organized religion is about getting others to align with your belief system through debate, force, coercion, and more often than not, unfortunately, because this is how the world is, more often than not, organized religion involves a group of people in power, not a group of people that are self-realized, seeking genuine upliftment of humanity, but a group of people in power looking for a set of belief systems that make it more convenient for them to control the masses. But of course, that's debatable depending on which side of the fence you're on. Right? But in short, my eyes, religion is about limiting a person with belief systems, and spirituality is the process of releasing all beliefs so that the mind is able to rest in the relative and eventually the eternal truth. People forget that it's also about the relative truth, but spirituality for me is this journey towards living in greater and greater relative truths and getting towards the eternal truth. And probably, I mean, it's not linear, so it's not like it's a journey, you have one relative truth and 15 relative truths and then 25 and then 2500. You can go back and forth between eternal and relative truths, but basically that's the journey, removing the lies, weeding them out, and not settling in to a belief system. You cannot form any belief system, is what you eventually realize. The deeper you go, the more you realize there is no truth, that it does not last. Everything is constantly changing. So you can have the so-called religious people who are spiritual in nature, and then you can have a far more dangerous group, the spiritual people who are trying to shove crystals and Reiki and mindfulness down people's throats and totally being religious about their belief systems of what spirituality is like, you know. Um, and culture is more complicated. Culture for me is, I think, a part of your past. So just like the past would be, a part of it is important because it's who you are. Like, you know, when people move countries and stuff, they're completely divorced from their cultures. They try to take it with them, but then it just looks really messed up. It's so blah. But because it's culture is who you are, but then a large part of culture is also who you're not. And so for me, culture is a set of traditions that have been continuing with or without reason and with or without context. Like for an example, Hindus think that sari is a very Indian, a very Hindu thing. But the truth is, originally, Hindus never wore a blouse. That was not part of the Hindu. I mean, both men and women had the same dress. They would just cover the waist. It was not, if you go to all the temples, this is what you see, because it was not Hindu culture to do that. You know, that came from Greeks. When the Greeks started coming in, then all these ideas of modesty and everything started seeping in. So when you're wearing a blouse, you're not wearing Hinduism, you're actually wearing the Greek tradition, right? But you think you're being Indian. And the most common Indian dress, what we call the salwar kameez or the kurta pajama, you know, that's not even Hindu, it's Arab. You know, it's thanks to all the Muslim invasions that happened over here. And I think the biggest, um, one of the biggest pain points for me as well, but one of the biggest movements nowadays with all the Hindu men telling women what they should be wearing, that was never even remotely Hindu. That's actually from all the other cultures that invaded India, telling women what to wear. In Hindu culture, this is not Hindu. So if you're being a Hindu telling your wife what she can and cannot wear, you're not being Hindu. I don't want to name religions, but you're being very different. You're acting exactly like those religions. But you think it is your culture because you did it, your parents did it, their parents did it. It's become your culture now. But are you really being Hindu? No. So culture, according to me, is just this really messed up set of belief systems plus actions plus words, you know. I see it. I see it as carrying the emotional corpses of our ancestors, you know, just carrying their dead bodies, continuing as traditions, you know, practices that work in another time and another context, in a completely trying to take that and apply it in a completely different time and context now, where it may or may not be relevant at all. So, of course, that's not to say that all aspects of culture are irrelevant. I love my culture, I really do. But so it's not like all of it is irrelevant or stupid. But the point is merely if we follow something as culture, it's blind. And we don't know the difference between what is actually helping us grow and what is just the baggage of our ancestors in the name of culture. You know, like telling women what to wear, that's baggage. That's not culture. That's stupidity. So it's tricky because if you want to really be cultured, you have to develop this deep discernment between what to embrace and what to drop, you know. And there can be, of course, differences of opinions on that because that is very personal. Yep.
Yeah, talking about personal, there are lots of studies about individuality, and we tend to believe that your identity it's given from your culture, from your population, from your
Yeah,
city.
amazing.
So
Yeah.
we tend to believe that that kind of identity is real in relationship with what you are finding outside. the way people think, the way the people act. So let's step back. Let's take a step back talking about religion, because I believe there's a strong link between religion and culture nowadays. Maybe it was not that before, but nowadays there's a strong connection. So to me, religion, yes, it's true, it's about power nowadays, I mean, and because you see the structure of you do what I say that you should do, and you see the political part of the religion, which for me, it shouldn't be involved in religion. I mean, you want to deal with something that is sacred, and that's it. Do that. No money involved, no political involved, no movement. You accept everybody, which is not the true in lots of religion. And as you said, we don't want to offend no one. I mean, we embrace the whole planet, but we know that some religion, they don't accept you if you are not from that blood, or if you don't accept you if you don't convert your family, all your family system as well, all your children in that religion. So married is also something bonded with religion, and that part, it's not for me. I mean, I do not agree on that, and we're missing a lot because that.
Yeah.
Okay, this is my perspective, my humble perspective, my humble opinion. Okay, I don't want to offend no one, and this is about power. But then, somehow in the definition that I read, you find that religion, it means rebond with God. It's a kind of path that lots of people already did, and they teach you how to do it. So in somehow you have this Brahmins family. Yeah, it's a caste, I believe. Is it? Yeah, okay. So they know something that the population don't know. And if you want to do something connected with spirituality, they should tell you, because they know. So I tend to imagine a religion like this. I mean, I know the path, the journey that you should do, I tell you, and I connect where you are and where you want to go. That's religion, rebond, reconnect you with God. But then obviously it's a perspective, because there are lots and lots of ways
Yeah,
to
the
go.
thing is, Hindu is a name given because the British thought we were from the Indus Valley civilization. But I mean, that's not what we call it, right? In Hinduism, we don't call it a religion. It is not a religion. I mean, if you
agree.
look at it, there are so many subsets. We address it as Sanatan Dharma, which is the natural way of life. That's really all it is. So our scriptures are not about telling you what to do and what to not do. So, like, I've been an atheist for the first few years of my life, and I was still a Hindu. Nobody tells me, oh, you don't believe in Krishna, you're not Hindu, get lost. No, nobody tells me you're going to hell because you don't believe in Krishna. Or you can choose one god and say, oh, I don't think Shiva exists, I like only Krishna and nobody else is important, and you're still a Hindu. Or you could say, no, I don't think Krishna is nice, he just flirted around with girls, I like Shiva. Okay, you're still Hindu. You can have completely contradictory belief systems and you're all just still under the Hindu bracket, because so all the texts do is they just define the uh, the dharma, the duties, what learning to discern what is right and wrong. Actually, yesterday I got asked by a student of mine. He said, how does karma work? And I'm working on making a podcast of it, because I sat down and I was like, whoa, that's a PhD question. Like, how am I supposed to answer that? You know?
Yeah.
So
Karma is a big topic.
I was like, uh, this is why, because I've never, like, I have read the Bhagavad Gita at one point, and I was like, I never really, I was like, yeah, okay, it's okay, you know. But I mean, yesterday I was like, oh, wow, okay. This is why we need the Bhagavad Gita, because we had access to it from so early on. Like when we were kids, my mom used to read out a few lines every day in the evening. So we just got that, you know, just took it for granted all these years. I just know these things because my mom read this when I was in school. But that's why people need to read the Gita, to understand the differences, you know, in karma, and understand how karma works and what's right and what's wrong, developing the discernment. So that's what the books are about. And when you're talking about these Brahmins, of course, I think in general, we've had like a deterioration of human values, because we've become a very money obsessed, power obsessed, fame obsessed culture now. It's not about being genuine and authentic, and you know, people are not really interested in each other anymore and stuff like that. But the way it used to be was, it was very personal. Like in Hinduism, there's no one size fits all, you know. It has unfortunately become very much like this. People that consider themselves gurus just go around and give one diksha, and they just think, okay, I'm done, I'm your guru, now you're supposed to follow this for the rest of your life. But they have no uh, you know, responsibility towards you. Tomorrow you're in trouble, you need help, they're not there, they don't even know you exist. You know, so it's very disturbing. That's not what a guru was supposed to be. They're supposed to be there for you, someone who has walked the path. And I mean, those are called acharyas, those who have walked half the path. I consider myself in the acharya department. I really don't see myself as a guru, but somebody who's like just walked further than you know, and they've seen more, they've learned more than you, and they can turn around and just, you know, show you the map, draw you the way and stuff like that. And those people can help based on their experience. And the gurus are those who are like the full-blown enlightened masters, and they help you. And every single person that they help, it's so different, because they take the person and then they tell you how it's done, you know, which is really not how religion works.
I
And
agree.
it's not about convincing a single other person about, you know, your way of life.
Yeah, I agree. And the more I study your culture, uh, the more I understand that differences are not a problem. You live
Yeah.
in differences. You live in different, how do you say, puja? You live in different.
Not just puja, right? I studied in a convent school. We used to go and pray in the church before every exam. Please help me pass, you know, and put all that water and do all this. And, you know, our Father in heaven, my sister was in the choir. She used to sing Christian hymns. And I still like Christian hymns more than Indian, you know, bhakti songs. My friend, her name was Durga. Okay, and she used to do the whole 1 month fast along with our Muslim friends. And she was so skinny. I used to worry that she would faint, but she would do it. You know, so like this is the India that I grew up in. It didn't matter what religion. We've brought Christmas
Yeah,
trees home and celebrated Christmas, you know.
yeah. And that's why I'm telling you, the religion that we have in our mind as Westerner, even if I halfway through because I'm Italian,
Yeah.
it's a kind of different. We I don't consider myself Christian and Catholic. I don't agree with lots of religion. But beside that, the religion that we have, they tend to say to everybody, that's the way you should be, all of you. So we can manage the population in one way. That's it. You do. That's the truth. But in that way, religion becomes a gate between you and your God, between you and what you are supposed to do. And I do not agree in that, because if really it's a path, it should be walked differently. I mean, my feet are not your feet, are different. Yeah, so there's a commonality, but differences should be more pushed in our society. Otherwise, we tend to say we are the normality and you are different, go away. And it happens lots of times in our culture. So, but yes, why I mentioned the Brahmins? Because in my mind, I tend to refer to Brahmin like in the old age, we had, how would you call the preach? Yeah.
Priests.
Yeah. People who had lots and lots of culture, and the population had no culture. So we used to go to them to know something. And they used to give you advice in lots of subjects, even eating, even doing something, or cultivate the ground. Okay, they were expert in lots and lots of things. So maybe I said Brahmins because I do that kind of connection, but I know you have lots of figures, lots of ways to manage the knowledge. But it's somehow here in the Western society, the religion can manage also a ritual, let him become a tradition. And when it becomes a tradition, you get involved in culture, and you start to do every year the same thing, and you have normality on that, and you are now in that culture. So in somehow, even if it's bad to say, but religion design a set of culture, and the people on the power of the church, they divide countries through the power of church. So, and this one is another word, the church. It's not religion. Church is the headquarters where you go and you manage something of the power. Yeah, it's not even a kind of temple when you go and pray. Because for me, if you believe in God, pray. You don't need to go anyway.
Exactly.
Done. You don't need church. You don't need property.
Yeah.
You know, we have one of the most rich church in the world, which is absurd, because, you know, Jesus Christ was a poor. It was saying you shouldn't have nothing, live your life. And nowadays the church has everything, and the Pope show up with lots of gold in your neck. No, man, you're not even close to what you are preaching. Okay, so that's why I have that kind of aversion to the word religion. And as you said, there's a power involved. There's manipulation. There's no, don't do like this, otherwise we lose power. Yeah. And I believe power is in each of us. It's not because someone is better than me or than you, or no, we're the same level. I mean, there's not even a level, to be honest. Yeah. So, but the culture that you are in, it's been formed by convention, beliefs, faith, and then it starts to give you, when you're born, an identity. I mean, if you're Muslim, if you're Christian, if you're Hindu, you start to believe yourself in that kind of set of rules that society gives you, and you create an identity. And because we know that the Pygmalion effect. You tend to react to people, relate to people in relation of what they think about you. So if you think I'm a good person, I tend to express my good person identity.
Mm-hmm.
If you believe I'm a piece of ass, yeah, I did it. So I cancel myself this time. And yeah, because, you know,
You're a piece of donkey, Caruso.
okay. So sometimes when you believe that someone is a bad person, they show up as a bad person.
Yeah.
So the society in somehow has this power to give you an identity. And if you are trapped in that identity, you don't discover yourself. In fact, you teach me sometimes that your identity is not even yours.
Yeah.
I mean, when you get inside, the more you get inside, the more you discover you're not that. The famous philosophy, the Advaita Vedanta, they use this neti, not this, not that, and you discover you're not even what you're supposed to do or think. So in that way, religion for me, it's out of the game. Nowadays, we should dig more into spirituality, which I believe it's a journey inside. And when you come out of yourself, you say, you know what I discover of myself? That kind of quote unquote, let me say, divinity in myself. And yes, I mean, you were talking also about karma, which is a huge topic. And I was wondering, and I was wondering if next time we could spend a little bit of time talking about karma. And also I have my ideas. Being not Indian, it could be curious, you know, as someone from outside defining karma. But let's see if someone says they are interested in this topic.
I'm sure lots of them will be.
Yeah.
I have two main points to make over here. One is it's becoming organized religion. Spirituality is becoming organized religion today as well. It's very painful to me. You know, all these big corporations taking up spirituality, marketing spiritual gurus, and you know, telling you, oh, it's completely fine for you to chase that Mercedes Benz. It's a spiritual thing to chase that Ferrari. It's a spiritual thing to chase that 6-bedroom house. Abundance is your spiritual. Come on. It is a totally different thing to get rid of your money blocks. Like initially, I was completely against all of this nonsense abundance preachings. But then when I started talking to friends, I started to realize they were having very severe money blocks. And I have been helping some of them get rid of them, you know, and so it is one thing to get rid of your money blocks, to get rid of your blocks in relationships, to get rid of your ancestral blocks. So basically, you're getting rid of your conditioning, right? That's it. I mean, that will unshackle you from your culture, that will unshackle you from your crappy belief systems, all of these things. But it's a completely different ball game if you're going to make spirituality about chasing. Buy more crystals. It's not consumerism if it's crystals. It's only consumerism if it's shoes. Really? You need to get your head checked, you know? So, I mean, it's so messed up now. I mean, I think it's just, you know, people are just people. So even though Hinduism is not a religion, you'll find lots of pockets over here where people are like, that is how things are supposed to be done, you know, and this is how you live. And so people are people. People tend to have religious natures where religion in that if I was to redefine it, I would say religion is that which reinforces the ego. Don't be holy, my teacher says. So that was the one thing that I wanted to say, that we cannot rely on, what we commonly perceive as spirituality anymore, because a lot of that is organized religion being peddled in the name of New Age, or I don't know, whatever other name, by the corporations so that you can make them money. The second thing, I want to include science in this discussion as well, because you can be a blind believer in science. I meet a lot of these. And science can also does, in fact, completely function like organized religion, with big corporations destroying the careers of experienced scientists and doctors that cause them losses instead of profits because they stuck to the truth. And then, of course, like in every field, you have the pure spiritual approach to science, where a scientist genuinely pursues the truth and refuses to sell his or her soul to the corporations, even if that means they lose their funding, and because the results didn't match the expectations of the corporation funding the study. But people are people. If they're functioning from belief systems, they're blind regardless of what book these beliefs align with. So scientists can be equally blind and dedicated to defending their belief systems. You see scientists hating other scientists all the time, and they're neither of them. The whole approach of science, and this is where I see science and spirituality as the same, actually, because the foundation of both is just to chase after the truth. I mean, if you really look at the soul of science, it is, we want to find out the truth. It's just that science tends to go about it in a more technical way, and spirituality tends to go about it in a more, intuitive. And science is outside, spirituality is inside. That's the only difference. But the core objective is really the exploration of truth, and that has been corrupted in science as well. So you can't just meet a scientist and say, oh, so you're not blind, not blinded by science. No, that's not necessarily the case. So I see a lot of people that are christened by science as well. So,
yeah, I mean, you're touching a good point, because there are lots of scientists. They try to transform the sacred texture in something scientific.
oh,
Yeah, so they try to analyze, and they try to see if science it can get inside. So from the science perspective, they coming back to vet us and see if it's true or not. And from the religion perspective, science is underlying their truth. So you see, now you realize that we were right. And talking about truth, yes, I understand that science and also religion, they dig in what is true, but you can have different approach inside. I mean, if you change the mindset, you change the outcome. So you can search for your truth, because then you are free. Searching the truth to become free, to become the freedom itself. But if you looking for truth because then you are right, and you are more right than another one, and you can show up that you are better, even if it's golden, you are in a cage. And that's why I don't believe in that. I don't know if in English it makes sense, but we say that science is a new religion.
Yeah.
In Italian makes sense. I don't know if it makes
No, that's exactly what I just said. Science is the new religion. People are equally blind because people are people. you can put them anywhere in the world. You can put them in any religion, and ultimately they're still, if they're blind, they're just going to be blind. They take whatever and just go about it in a blind way, or depending on their nature, no matter which religion they're in. I mean, you can't say that there haven't been some incredibly divine Christians and some incredibly divine Muslims or some incredibly divine Jews, and definitely we have like tons and tons and tons of them in the Hindus. You can't say that there's a single religion where we haven't had some, incredibly divine human beings, because the basic nature still remains the same. If somebody is, dedicated and, forcefully, sincerely pursuing the truth inside, any religion can get you there. Some
Yeah.
religions make it easier, some religions make it harder.
I was thinking about the war to become the best religion, the work that you do to become
Yeah.
the best science. Okay. But I mean, when you say holy war, I mean, you're fighting because your religion, I mean, you go against a moral law, the basic of the religion itself, the love of each other, of everybody. So, and the same is in the science field. I mean, you say we are the best, now we know this and that. So why is that in 50 years we complicate more and more? The environment is destroyed. The quantity of pollution, it's out of the range. We're talking about science. Why don't you apply science in a good way instead of saying I'm right? Then what? Are you doing something good or not? I mean, so the commonality here is the power. The power, someone that wants to have power over someone else.
Yeah.
But to me, power needs to someone that don't have power. So I don't need power because I feel the power myself. I'm centered.
If you really have power, you empower others, because you can give only what you have, whereas powerless people need to steal power from other people, from the weaker ones. Yeah, that's how I see it.
And talking about religion, I discovered that in India, when you do all the journey of yoga, which is not just asana, we already said too many times. I mean, when you reach the illumination, then lots and lots of people, I don't know if there are lots, but lots of them, they shut up for long years.
Yeah.
I just read that one man, it stayed like 15 or 20 years, not saying nothing, because he was chewing and chewing what he discovered himself. And then, because lots of people was asking, he started to teach to someone else. So a teacher basically it becomes his journey as teacher at 70 years old. I mean, they really grown old. They know what they do. Instead of nowadays believing in this kind of spiritual yoga, whatever, that if you posture yourself in somehow, you feel fine.
And you look pretty and you wear small bikinis and make nice poses.
Yeah. And the most important, you have the pinky mattress where you sit down and you take your iPhone to have a selfie where you're doing loto position or whatever.
Yeah.
And you see, it's everything. It's becoming something about having an identity better than yours, having a powers more than you. And so in that way, religion is losing its power itself, because it was good having someone.
Can you imagine if we just said yoga is about making peace with your jiggly belly? It would not sell. Like, maybe you exercise, but you exercise because you love your body. But maybe that jiggly belly never goes away, and it's about learning to love that anyway. But yeah.
Yeah. And there are a lot. I believe it was yesterday, I was speaking with a yoga teacher, and I said to her, listen, but when I think about yogis, they don't practice all the asana every day. They practice 4 or 5 to restrict that kind of work they do inside. And that's it. They don't need to spread the knowledge everywhere because so that they are cooler.
Do you know why they actually do the asanas? Do you know the real reason?
I don't believe so.
The whole point of doing yogasanas is to develop such a flexibility and strength in the body so that you can sit without moving for 3 hours.
Nah.
That's the whole idea. It's called asana siddhi. It's kind of beyond 2.5 hours. So you cannot do that unless you're healthy beyond a certain point, right? Your knees have to be strong, your back has to be strong. So the whole idea of doing asanas is so that you can sit without moving for 3 hours. How many yoga teachers are actually doing that? Because that's the point of asanas.
I not even know if they have 3 hours a day free to do that, or they believe they should do that. I mean, I was listening to the Swami Sarvapriyananda, and he was saying a still body quietens the mind. So a still body in a still mind, and then you start to meditate on something really complex. And he was telling a story when he was really young, and he was taking the path of to become a monk, and he was not capable to stay seated. I mean, it takes effort for a young guy. So
for anyone. Have you tried?
Like I tried, but I cannot.
When I went for Vipassana, they insist on this at least, don't move for an hour. And my capacity of sitting comfortably was about 30 minutes. I could push it until 40 or 45 minutes. And it was so difficult. And then one day I was like, you know what, to hell with it. And the teacher, like the woman who used to ring the 1 hour bell, she would usually fall asleep and start snoring. I don't know whether she was sleeping, because now I realize that some people can snore even in meditation. But the male teacher would be often like, the time would be up and I'd be like, and she's still snoring. I mean, you're waiting, tormented, waiting for the bell to ring, and she's asleep or she's snoring, whatever. And so this one time I was like, I don't care. Today, no matter whether she rings the bell in an hour or an hour, 15 minutes, I am not moving until she rings the bell, come hell or high water. Oh my God, like the moment I crossed 45 minutes, I'm like, it's done, right? We're done. 1 hour is up. Because time gets this way, like 1 hour is up, 1 hour is left. And then it's like, it's almost as if you've poured kerosene and set fire, the fire spreads. It's like your legs are burning. And I'm like, oh God. It's like everything, it's like on fire. And the whole point of Vipassana is to keep your focus in the body. Oh. And the moment she rang the bell, though, I just got up, which is not what has ever happened. Like, if every single time at the end of the meditation, I'd be like, stretching this, like, and then, okay, now I can get up. But I just like, all of that was gone. I just got up and walked out, and I was like, wow, what just happened? It was so powerful. But like, yeah, it's lethal to try to just sit without moving.
Yeah. And I know, I'm into breath work. I breathe normally 20 minutes, half an hour every day, and then I meditate. So I started to sit in the loto position. but I
Mhm.
cannot. So I discovered I
You
can
mean the
meditate.
lotus or the siddhasana or the sukhasana? Which one? Because
I
lotus is the feet like this, and that's the hardest one.
yeah, I would like to
No,
get that one
that's
because I
no, but that's
discover
so
my
much.
back. It's really resting comfortable, but I cannot. So I'm
But
doing
that is so hard.
yeah,
Sukhasana is better. This is so much easier.
yeah, but I cannot do neither of those. So
Oh.
I bend my knees and I try to stay there. And I discover because I usually meditate on in the water inside of swim pool. I can do it because my body it weighs less, so I don't compress my knees, but still the journey to stay 20 minutes in that position is long, and I don't care. I'm gonna reach that point. I don't care. And it's a journey as well. Yeah. But then I see lots of people saying, I've been 2 weeks in India and now I'm master of yoga, just because they are flexible as natural. But I agree that when you are flexible in the body, your mind is flexible as well, because we tend to not remember that mind body is a connection. You cannot separate. We speak it in different way, but it's connected. If the body hurts, the mind hurts, and vice versa.
I'm not so sure. I would have said completely yes, probably even until a couple of weeks ago. I'm really not sure about that anymore. I think there can be quite a dissonance. Like I have met some super flexible people who are like dead in the head.
Yeah.
And then there are people in wheelchairs that are so
Yeah,
much
but I
genius.
was not saying that because you are flexible, it is flexible also your mind. But if you
Yeah,
are flexible, you help the flexibility of your mind as
definitely.
well. So it helps balancing yourself.
Yes.
But it's not, I mean, beside the posture, yoga is a long tradition. And we were speaking about Bhagavad Gita, the Sri Krishna. He says karma yoga a lot. Karma yoga, the yoga of doing just because it's right to do, and you do it. So yeah, maybe we can deal with that yoga, karma yoga, and karma concept the next time, the next round.
Yeah, and I think I would use that to sum up this thing as well. You know, I think when it comes to religion, culture, and spirituality, ultimately what matters is purely the intent. I
Mm.
mean, because ultimately spirituality is about how far are you going. Spirituality is not about how far are we going. It's about just me, right? Spirituality is individualistic.
Yes, I agree.
So, and so is intent. And so is sincerity. You cannot be sincere in a group. Like you cannot measure that. You cannot say I have a group of 5 and we're all equally sincere. You can't say that. You don't know that for sure, because there is always deception on some level. You can be deceiving yourself, they can be deceiving themselves, they can be deceiving you.
Mm.
All you can account for is your own sincerity. And if you are motivated by that Ferrari or by that 6-bedroom bungalow on the beach, then it's religion. And if you're motivated by shattering everything that you've built over the years, all the belief systems and all the protective mechanisms and everything, then you're spiritual.
So you just answered those questions that I want to ask you or debate in the end of our round of this too much noise that we have. So the question is this: does one need religion to live and express his spirituality?
I think it provides a fair foundation, but it also depends on the leaders. See, if we take the Hindu perspective of this, going through the journey of the soul, I think religion, that structured religion, even in its corrupt form, is actually needed when you're in the sacral chakra level of development. I mean, the first few lifetimes, you're in the root chakra level of development where, it's all about survival and learning basic skills. But then after that, you need this organized religion and the structure. So if that's the level that you're at, then you're a blind believer in science or in a religion or, whatever. And then as you go beyond that, and then you have the power struggles of the solar plexus, and then that's where most of the world is at, because it's all about money, fame, power, and everything. But then if you go beyond that, the moment you start crossing the heart, then it's about relationships, you value relationships above everything else. And that's where, like, you start actually touching happiness. And I think that's where sincerity actually starts coming in. I don't think you can be sincere in the first three parts of the journey. Like, what will you be sincere for? But the moment you start experiencing relationships, the moment you start experiencing that it's not that satisfying without truth, no matter how uncomfortable that truth is. There's a hole in your heart that gets filled when you have an honest, genuine relationship with someone else. And then it starts crossing over to the throat, where you start speaking your truth. And then you start going into the third eye, where that's the only point in your journey where you're willing to shatter everything that you've gained all these years to push through to the ultimate truth. That's where spirituality actually begins. So, and here it's all the art and stuff.
I never heard something like this. You always you have this ability to shock me every time. yeah, I feel blessed, because I never thought about chakras like this. I mean, you see, you have this ability to make complex thing really chewable, even for people the ground level like me. Yeah, it makes lots of sense what you said. It makes lots of sense what you said. I like it. Anyway, my answer would be no. Does someone need a religion to express his spirituality? No, my answer is no. I know lots of people, they don't believe in religion. They don't have an hierarchy of a structure, but they feel a lot. They have a good bond with nature, with animals. Somehow they express their spirituality. So
I think I agree with you on that. Yeah.
the second one is, does religion influence the population, imposing a set of convention that becomes their culture?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, you see, we were talking about the power of politics. Yeah, they move money so that you need to do that kind of job. You need to believe in that kind of research. You need to do that kind of choices. Yeah. And
I think the real answer is so complicated, because I would kind of attribute that to the heavy population that we have. And again, the population is happening because, our economy is structured so pathetically that we depend on more and more people. I mean, we're basically destroying the earth, but who cares? The economy is thriving. So because we've made money important, then the screwed up structures of economy are important. And then we have all this population explosion happening. And because there are so many people, then you want a simplified system to just keep the masses in control. And then the only way you can do it is to keep them blind, because you have a whole bunch of awake people. It's messed up. It's going to be so hard. So then you have to use organized religion to control them and move them around as per what suits you. And the thing is, when you have populations that are that big, then, there's so much competition for the resources. Existence is tiring. And the moment existence becomes tiring, then they don't want to think anymore. The moment they don't want to think anymore, they're the precise kind of disciple you need for organized religion.
I agree 100%.
So it's perfect,
Yeah, and beside what you said, that I agree 100%. I don't want that people start to think that we are talking about a conspiracy theory or something. No, we are talking about our ideas. We're not blaming no one's. Do whatever you want, but I agree 100% in what you have said, because if you have someone not capable to think, it's a machine. And you can say, mop the ground, sweep this, do this job, and that's it. Great, good guy, do it again, all the life. So yeah, this one is shrinking down the anyway. I was saying something really important, but then you interrupt me, and I
Sorry.
have to. No. I write it down. So when we talk about spirituality, and it becomes from Latin spirit, spirito, we refer indirectly to the word soul, anima, because in Latin they had this translation. So when you are speaking about spirituality, it's true what Ashwita said. It's the path of the soul. That one it is. So don't divide soul and spirit in this episode, this round of too much noise. When we are talking about spirituality, we are talking about that kind of expression of the soul, yeah, which is so important in the Hinduism. You talk a lot about soul, about you call it also, well, it's not well translated, but it would be Atman, the Atman. Okay. Next answer. Can the important questions, who am I, where do I come from, what I'm supposed to do, can those questions be answered by just logic and rationality, or spirituality can enhance the meaning we give to our life?
I don't know if you know this story. It's a legend. I don't know how true it is, but it is said that a man went to the Buddha and he fell at his feet. He said, I've been to so many gurus and nobody can seem to answer my questions. Will you answer my questions? And he said, I will answer every single question that you have to your satisfaction, but I have a condition. How sincere are you? Are you willing to meet my condition? He said, what do you want me to do? He said, stay here, meditate for a year. And when he said that, they heard the sound of laughter. This guy was like, why is someone laughing? And the Buddha is like, no, don't feel offended. Why don't you go and ask him? You know, he's been here a while. Just go and talk to him. So this guy walks up to this guy who laughed and he's like, how could you laugh? Do you have any idea how much pain I'm carrying? Like there's all these unanswered questions that I need answers to. And he's like, dude, I came here a year ago in the same way. He told me to meditate for a year. He's like, so did you get all your answers? I said, I have no questions left.
Wow.
So that's what people don't understand when they're on the mental path. You know, it's not about finding answers. It's about having no questions left. I think what you realize more than anything else on the path is that there is no fixed truth. If there is no fixed truth, how can you ever get an answer? The truth is constantly changing.
I believe it was Swami Vivekananda that he was saying the reality, when you are there, you have all the answer so that you don't have question. And then you come here and you have just question, but the answer are there. So
I don't think I would say that the answers are there. It's that the questioner disappears.
Yeah.
You know.
Because you have all the answer.
No.
It collapse, you know.
It's duality. Answers can only exist in the context of questions.
Yeah.
The questioner
yeah,
disappears
you
like
say the
nothing
way around.
exists
Okay, okay,
anymore.
okay.
Yeah.
Now I get it. Now I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
There
makes
there
sense.
are no answers because there is no one to ask questions. There's nobody home. It's empty.
Mm, mm, mm. Okay, okay, okay. So you see the answer, a consequence of a question.
Yes.
Okay, 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 okay.
But I do understand what he was implying also, but it's, I mean, when you bring it down to the level of logic, it's not the way people understand is absolutely not how it is.
Yeah, it is not possible because
Yeah.
in a non-dual reality, I mean, you cannot use word because words are
Yes.
dual.
Yes.
But we already touched those kind of
Isn't there
themes.
a there is a proverb that says this, but I can't remember it. The Tao that can be spoken is not the Tao. Yeah.
Yeah, Sarva Priyananda was saying reality doesn't appearance is not reality. If it appears, is not reality. So
Yeah.
yeah, but there are way to trick the mind to let us kind of transcend the meaning of the words, but you cannot describe something that is not describable. So
Exactly.
yeah. So to me, spirituality can enhance the meaning of our life. Obviously, just spirituality and not logic, not rationality, not mind. It wouldn't be. It would be just one part. We need both, I believe. So
If you look at that 50-year Harvard study that said the quest to happiness basically can be summarized in three things. Someone to love. Well, ultimately spirituality is very deep self-love. So it gives you someone to love because come on, most people don't actually love themselves. So if you're on the spiritual pathway, you learn to love yourself. So spirituality gives you someone to love. And then the second thing was something to look forward to. Well, you are looking forward to the journey. I mean, you're making the journey. It's something to look forward to. And something, what was the third thing? It was, remember the third thing?
nope.
But I mean,
Looking
okay,
for
these two things, yeah,
looking
spirituality will,
forward something. Buddha
something to
was
do, I think it was, which
yeah.
also, yeah.
Buddha was saying it's important to have a scope in life. You need a scope because a goal,
Yeah.
so that you can walk, move.
Ultimately, the more present you are, the more rich every moment becomes, right? How can you not be happy? Like, it makes pain less painful and it makes joys more
Mm. Mm.
joyous. So
And
of course,
for someone that are listening now or watching this round of too much noise, sometimes spirituality doesn't need a God relation or some practice. Sometimes spirituality can be expressed by sensibility or just listening of what is inside. That's it. We
some
tend as
atheists can be
foreigner
very spiritual.
as foreigner as Westerner, we tend to complicate too much this word. And sometimes, you do a nice walk in the nature and you feel something. That one, it's already spirituality. It's a movement of soul inside of you. If you feel it, you're already there. I mean, yeah.
What's the agenda, right? Are you doing it because it's the right thing to do, or are you doing it because you have an agenda? It's really as simple as that. Whether
Yeah.
you have a God or don't have a God or
And
anything.
talking about God, you see, you always a step ahead of me. So good to talk to you. So the last question is, how does God and spirituality relate to each other?
I don't think, in a way, I don't think they do. And on the other hand, see, we can see spirituality as a journey, and there are various vehicles to take you on any journey. So I think God is just one of those vehicles, that's all. I
Mm.
mean, but you could you could walk from Bangalore to Delhi. You could take a train, you could take a plane, or you could take a bike. And I can't say that one is necessarily better than the other,
Mhm.
and or maybe you take a combination of this of those. Maybe I take a taxi from here to the airport, and then I fly there, and then I take a train from the airport to whatever place I want to go. So it's a combination of things. So if God is a concept that is helping you on your journey, then use it. And if it's not, then drop it.
Yeah, we're talking about using God.
Yeah.
Mysterious. This is really mysterious, but I agree 100% because, I'm not a strong believer in God. I believe in the self, much more into I am the Atman. The Atman is Brahman. So when you are discovering yourself, you finding God in yourself. When you are searching for God, you find you or self. So that's what I tend to believe. And don't lie on me, please, people, on this. Yeah, because I believe it's a personal journey, and spirituality can relate, of course, to the concept of God. But if I hear this, if I could be God, I wouldn't care if you're spiritual or not. I wouldn't care of nothing. I wouldn't bother.
Yeah,
You wanna do drive a Ferrari or fish a food or fish a excuse me, how would you say, take a
go fishing.
yeah, go fishing, thank you. But to me, if I would be God, who cares?
Yeah,
So
one of my
you're not
teachers
doing
actually
for
said,
God, you're doing because you are already
yeah,
connected. And in Advaita Vedanta, they say this, in the Vedas, they see that thou art, tattvamasi. You are already there. So I tend to believe that, even if believe it's a strong word for me. I am always moving myself. Yeah.
exactly.
I believe we are in the end. You want to summarize saying something? This round, it's been very good to me. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
I've enjoyed it a lot as well. Yeah, I think I just sum it up with this much: intent and sincerity. You know, it's what helps you refine religion if you are following a religion. It's definitely what helps you refine culture, and it's the foundation of any spiritual development. Without sincerity, without without the intention of doing what's right, I
Yeah.
don't think you're going to make any real progress. There can be a lot of illusion of progress. Yes, there can be a lot. I see a lot of people having very powerful illusions of growth and progress, but really they're just going in circles.
You were kind of quoting Maharaji. I'm reading Maharaji, but you,
Maharaj, yeah, which one? uh I forgot, you told me last time.
yeah.
uh,
Is
it's not
it,
Maharaj, is just king. Some who
no, is a very good, let me see if I find it again. I will. I know I will because I have it here.
can't remember.
Nizir
Nisargadatta Maharaj. Yes,
yeah,
yes. I was
Maharaj.
like, yeah.
Okay, you were kind of quoting him because he was
Wow.
saying, in the end, you are lying on sincerity.
Wow.
The amount of sincerity that you have within yourself, it presents the word, it presents
Yeah.
your path. So as always, you are a step ahead, always. I can see lots of people say they enjoy the discussion, and I can see that there's no question. So we did a good job. And I believe someday we're going to do also round 3.
Yes, on karma.
They say, yeah, okay, you are that. So thank you so much, everybody. It's been a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much, Ashwita.
Thank
Done.
you. So, thank you, everyone.